Guys, welcome. Today I'm going to show you how I made this cake, complete with all the mistakes I made. And unfortunately, there's quite a few. So a few days before you need the cake, you have to make your decorations that have to dry before you can use them. So here I'm making the little, I don't know what you call them, sea urchins maybe, using a circle cutter, a ball tool, and the foam. Now, the foam is important. If you tried this on a hard surface, you would just make a hole in the center. And I let them dry in a flour former to keep their shape. To properly use a mold, you need to dust it heavily with cornstarch. Then you knock out all the extra cornstarch, and then you really pack the mold in there with the fondant. You want to make sure that fondant gets into every detail. And here I'm using the PME, that's the brand, little palette knife, I love this knife, to cut off all the extra fondant I don't need. And then I smooth the back out because if I'm using this on the top of the cake, the back of the item will show. Now, to get it out, you peel the mold away. I know a lot of people try to dig in there and pop it out, and that doesn't work. That just stretches your design. And here is what I have made so far to let dry. Now I'm making the little seagrass. This stuff is really easy to make. You just cut a little strip and twirl it and then let it dry. Now here I'm using a Wilton mold to make the seahorse. And I have a love-hate relationship with these molds. Their molds are really thick. And on the one hand, that's good because the mold won't crack and break like some of the cheaper molds will when you go to peel it out. However, it's bad because they're hard to peel out to get your design out without ripping it. Like right here, the tail of the seahorse got stretched, but I was able to put it back in and set it aside. Now here's my first mistake. Notice how blue the fondant is. This is after it's dried. Fondant always dries lighter than what you start with. So I should have made a much darker purple in order to get a light purple. And I knew this, but I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention. And now to have purple, I have to use a pigment powder to color it. Now the pigment powder is non-toxic. And I usually tell my customers that regardless whether I'm using pigment powder or not, these type of decorations, they're not going to taste good. They're dried fondant. And I usually tell them to remove them before they serve the cake. Now, I mean, if somebody ate it, it's not going to hurt anything. Like I said, they're non-toxic, but I always tell them to remove them. This cake actually isn't for anybody. It's a design I'm doing just for you guys. I thought you might like to see a mermaid cake. Now I've luster dusted it. And if you don't own luster dust and you're a cake decorator, oh my gosh, what are you doing? The stuff is great. Now look, there's the difference between the two. Now here I'm showing the luster dust on the teal and on the pink just because I love luster dust. Isn't it pretty? I must have been a magpie. I love shiny things. Okay, now here I'm going to paint. Now this is an edible luster dust, and I'm using orange extract. You need something that dries quickly, and orange extract does. If you don't have that, you can also use a high concentrated like a tequila or a vodka, something that's clear, that has a lot of alcohol in it. The reason why you want it to dry fast is you don't want the water, or why we don't use water, is it will make the fondant sticky and it won't dry. So you need something that dries quick. As you can see, I've already had to add more orange because it dries so quick. But here I paint them. Sometimes you have to do 2 coats to get a gold or a silver that you want, and then you let them dry. Now I decided to add some gold to all the mermaid tails because, why not? I'm going to have a lot of gold on this cake. I just think it sets it out. Now, here's a mistake. The lines were too thick. So how you correct that is you take a little bit of water and you just kind of erase it. You go over the design, you wipe it with a paper towel. Now I want some gold on here, so I didn't remove it all. But I always told my students, uh, the difference between a good decorator and an average one is that a good decorator, it's not that we don't make mistakes, it's just that we know how to fix them when we do. And speaking of mistakes, here comes some. I am doing, because this isn't for a customer and I'm just kind of winging it, I thought, hey, I'll do a mermaid cake this week for my YouTube channel. I'm just kind of winging the design. And I knew I wanted 3 colors, and I'm not paying attention here. I'm not blending the colors at all. Look, they're just ribbons. And here, speaking of ribbons, I first thought I would do ribbon design, something besides just smooth. But I let the icing kind of crust. It was in mid crusting when I decided to do the ribbon. Well, that looked ugly. So now I get paper towel. Oh, look, now here is air bubbles. We call those blowouts. That's where air gets trapped underneath the buttercream. Sometimes it can come from your filling, like if you did like a red raspberry or a strawberry filling. Air can get trapped in there, and it eventually works its way out, and you get these bubbles. If you don't get them out, I've seen bubbles be as big as like an egg before. So here I've smoothed it. I still have not noticed that I didn't blend the colors. Now I did. Now I noticed it and I'm like, oh crap. So I'm going back in using the purple and the teal, and I'm just smearing it on, trying to make it look more of an ombre. I do get it. In the end, you don't notice it because of all the decorations on the cake. But does it look as good as if I had done it from the beginning? Well, no. So the procedure to fix it is to mix the 2 colors while you put it on with a spatula. Go over it with a hot spatula and then smooth it with a paper towel. And I mean, I have to repeat it for the top, of course, for the pink and the teal. It's not near as good as if I had done it correct the first time, but it looks better than those separated, look like ribbons going around the cake. And here for a while I'm just attaching all of the decorations I made ahead of time, so I will shut up and let you watch. And my last, but definitely not least, final mistake is that I didn't notice the battery dying in my camera until I had completely finished the cake. Wow. I looked over and I'm like, no. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Here's the final cake done. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment down below. I love hearing from everyone. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.